The following is a presentation of Puska Media Services in cooperation with the Northern Ontario Walleye Trail. It's time to talk Walleye Tournament Championship Fishing. This is Catching Gold, the official podcast of the NOWT. In the next 30 minutes, hear all of the latest information on the trail, plus highlights of all of the stops across Northern Ontario. We will interview the anglers, corporate partners, volunteers, and bring you inside access like never before. Watch Catching Gold on the YouTube channels of the Northern Ontario Walleye Trail at the official NOWT, the Northern Corridor Podcast Network, and PuskaMediaServices.com. Now let's hear from the guys, host Dennis J. Puska, and trail executive members and anglers Shane Turcotte and Dean Bliss.
It is great to have you with us for another exciting episode of Catching Gold, the official podcast of the Northern Ontario Walleye Trail. Hi there, everyone. I'm Dennis J. Puska. Well, we have certainly had a terrific summer, haven't we? Lots of hot and dry weather for sure. However, we did get some much-needed rain over the weekend that not only brought moisture to the ground, which definitely was important, and also cooled things off too, so that was critical. And it also helped the forest fire situation, not only those active fires right now, but of course the forest fire rating across much of Northern Ontario. And before we go any further, we want to say a very special thoughts and prayers to those affected by wildland fires throughout much of northwestern Ontario and those in northeastern Ontario as well. Yes, we're thinking about you. We hope you're doing okay. Please be safe. And again, our thoughts and prayers are with those. And our thoughts and prayers are also with members of the M&R forest fire fighting crews. And they are battling a lot of the blazes right across our province. And again, we're thinking about those crews that are out battling and making sure those fires get out. Thank you for all you do. Well, on episode 7 of our program, we've got a very busy program, so make sure you stay tuned with us. 2 terrific interviews. Up first, you'll be hearing from Brenda Filiatro. She is with April Marine, and she has some important information for NOWT members and a special offer that we're also going to be telling you about, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Shane Turcotte, Dean Bliss will be alongside for that interview. And then the second half of our program, lead organizer Alan Walleye of the next stop of the NOWT. It is the Longlac Walleye Masters coming up this weekend. It is the second to last stop on the trail. Of course, we've got one more to come, and that is in September at Matagami First Nation. But Al's going to talk all about what the Longlac Walleye Masters means to the community of Longlac as well as the Greenstone region. It is a very special interview that we're very excited to present, and we want to wish the Longlac Walleye Masters organizing crew all the best of luck as that event gets ready to go this weekend, and it should be a lot of fun. I know everyone looks forward to it. Dean Bliss and I will chat with Alan Walleye during the second half of our program. Again, thank you for tuning into our show each and every week, wherever you're doing it, whether it's on the official NOWT, the official YouTube page of the Northern Ontario Walleye Trail, or at the Northern Corridor Podcast Network. We thank you for taking time to be with us. We're going to pause for that break, friends, and when you come back, Brenda Filiatro of April Marine with some important information for NOWT members. Shane Turcotte and Dean Bliss will be along for that interview. It's coming up next. This is episode 7 of Catching Gold, the official podcast of the Northern Ontario Walleye Trail, brought to you by Puska Media Services on the Northern Corridor Podcast Network.
This is the Northern Corridor Podcast Network, the home of the Sports Hub. Between the Bay and the Bench with your MPP Guy Bourgoin. All jacked up, the official podcast of the Hearst Lumberjacks of the Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League. Be Northern Proud, Be Northern Aware, a fraud prevention podcast series, and Catching Gold, the official podcast of the Northern Ontario Walleye Trail. Tune in at PooskaMediaServices.com, on social media with Facebook, X, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and wherever you get your podcasts at YouTube, Apple, Amazon, Google Play, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Listen to one of our episodes today.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Catching Gold, the official podcast of the Northern Ontario Walleye Trail. Dennis J. Puska, joined alongside by Dean Bliss, Shane Turcott, and we've got Brenda Filiatro, who is with April Marine. We're going to talk about marine insurance, boating insurance on our program today. Brenda, nice to have you along with us, and Shane and Dean, good to see you guys.
Yeah, great seeing you. Welcome, Brenda. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yes, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk boat insurance, everybody's favorite topic.
Yeah,
it's great to be back.
Well, why don't we get started right away? And Brenda, I'll turn it over to you. Like, maybe kind of give us a quick breakdown of what maybe a basic marine policy looks like.
Yeah, that's a good place to start. So what you should be looking for as anglers for a basic marine insurance policy would be to make sure your policies have fire, theft, vandalism, collision, lightning, storm damage, and vermin all included as your coverages, and making sure that it's got $3 million liability, because sometimes a couple of years ago there was, you had the options of doing 1 million or 2 million. Then we kind of made it mandatory that you had to have at least 2 million, and you can up it to 3 million. So making sure that you review those coverages to make sure that you're properly covered is important. And sometimes it might seem a little silly to have certain coverages, but there's usually a rhyme or reason to it. If you, lightning strikes, for example, it's not just going to hit a big tall sailboat. It's going to hit the water, travel to your boat, and then fry your electrical system. So it's really important to make sure that you've got all those coverages in place so that you can make sure that if, hopefully nothing happens, but if it does, you want to make sure that you've got yourself covered.
Yeah, and Brenda, so and before we jump so fast there, I did want to say that April Marine is a partner with the NOWT, and maybe you can break down what an angler who fishes the NOWT, if he's looking for insurance and he decides to go on our website and use the flash quote with April Marine, what would that coverage look like for one of our members?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, clicking on that flash quote tool is really quick and easy for you. You just put in your boat information and your contact information, and you'll get a premium right away. It takes 2 minutes. So it's a really fast and easy way to kind of gauge while you're shopping around to make sure that you're not overpaying or underpaying for your insurance. If you're underpaying, maybe just make sure you double check those coverages. But from our standpoint for the partnership, what we've done is we are offering 10% off on your insurance. So as partners, we'll give you a discount for your insurance, and then we're going to increase some of the coverages for you as well. So a couple of things that make us very popular with the angler communities is that we offer fishing gear and water sports gear coverages, which is unique to April Marine. So typically under a lot of policies, your gear is going to be covered under your personal effects. That personal effects coverage can be limited to $1,500 up to $5,000, depending on the carrier. For April Marine, we have $5,000 for personal effects, but then we also have standard $8,000 for your gear. So should anything happen, you would have $8,000 of coverage. But for the Northern Ontario Walleye Trail members, we will increase your coverage up to $10,000. So we will increase your fishing gear, your water sports gear. So if you have any tubes or skis that you want insured as well, that's all covered under that $10,000 of coverage. And then we'll also throw in a couple of extra perks like invitations to some on-water events, and you get access to our Club April Marine as well.
Very cool. I did go on and do the flash quote myself, and I have to say the quote was a a lot cheaper than what I'm paying now. So definitely something I need to dig into a little bit further because potentially I think there's some savings for me, but I think there's some savings out there for all the anglers in the NOWT. I know April Marine, I've noticed has been very aggressive in the market, and the pricing is phenomenal. So I think people need to check it out.
Yeah, it's been an interesting push for us the past couple of years since I joined. We've been in Canada for 30 years, but we were a really strong market for Quebec because our head office is in Lyon, France. So naturally, when they decided to come to Canada, Quebec was their first stopping point. But for us, they are number one market in Quebec, and we really wanted to try to push since 2024 to growing into Ontario. So it was really important for us to review our coverages regularly and our rates to make sure that we are providing the top end coverages with the best pricing. If you were an angler with a $100,000 fishing boat or a $100,000 bass boat, typically, to give you guys an idea, you'd be looking at $900 for the year on a $100,000 fishing boat or bass boat because we recently did a lot of work on our bass rate. So that's about $75 a month, give or take a little bit. But it's nothing compared to what you're paying for your home insurance or your auto insurance, boat insurance. It's very affordable and it's easy to set up and renew.
Yeah, and that's a good point on the bass boat. I do have a fiberglass boat, and I know in the past trying to get insurance on my boat, it always gets categorized as a bass boat, and the pricing is always way more expensive. So I did notice that with April Marine, you guys have done a really good job at working on that pricing for fiberglass fishing boats in that bass category. So that's great.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where once we realized how popular we were with the fishing crowd, we really wanted to make sure that you don't need to shop around. You know, you're in good hands with us in terms of pricing. We don't really think we're going to be outmatched in our pricing because the next step would just be giving away the insurance. So
Now, and now I'm going to fire away. Like, there's always lots of questions out there from anglers. One, electronics. Those are covered in the boat itself, right? Not gear. Just because, yeah, electronics nowadays. I mean, somebody could have 30 to $40,000 electronics on the boat, right? So,
yeah, and that's a really good point. The semi-permanent items that you have on a boat, like your electronics, you want to insure it in the value. So when you're trying to determine the value of the boat, you're going to want to look at insuring it for your boat, motor, trailer, everything legally required to be on board, and your taxes, as well as those semi-attached and permanently attached items as well. Because in the event of a claim, if something happens, we want to make sure we can fully compensate you. And making sure that those electronics, your depth finders, your nav systems, all that good stuff is included in that value, because a lot of the times it's missed. And that's one of the differences in working with marine brokers is this is all they do. So you're not dealing with somebody who's in home and auto. You're dealing with people who live and breathe boats. So everybody knows that it's the importance of making sure when we ask those questions for the value to make sure that we're getting the true value and not just the boat value. We want to make sure it's all encompassing, including the life jackets, the bailout kits. That all needs to be included because if there was a loss, we want to make sure it's paid out under that boat value and not cutting into your gear because, like you said, $30,000 to $40,000 in your electronic equipment is going to eat up your $10,000 of gear, and then all of a sudden we don't have any gear coverage for you. So we want to make sure that everything is properly paying out.
that makes sense. And another good question I always get is sometimes our seasons are different where you can fish into, say, November, December, or start early, say March or April. What does the basic marine policy cover? And then can you add on extra months in there if you needed to?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question, and one we get a lot from the angler crowd specifically, because you guys don't mind going out when it's December.
No, exactly.
So the standard boating term is April 1st to November 30th. So that means you can launch your boat on April 1st and you have to have it out of the water on November 30th. For an April marine policy, if you want to use your boat for an extra month, go into December or launch it early, you are welcome to do so. It's completely free for that extra month. You just have to notify the brokers so that they can advise the underwriters that the boat's going in the water early. If you wanted to use it longer than that, then you can add on a year-round endorsement so that you can use the boat at any point, and it's $50. So it's only $50, but then you can boat whenever you want.
And guys, make sure you look at your policy and understand that, because I know there is guys that are fishing into December or sometimes launching in March. So, I mean, you can get a month free, or just for $50, you're covered for the entire year and you don't have to worry about it. So I think that's a great piece of knowledge there. Another question we get: boat's in the garage, it's plugged in, the onboard charger. Now, we've heard of onboard chargers starting a fire, and next thing you know, the boat in the garage have burned down. And so people are asking, what gets covered there? Who covers that? Is that April Marine? Is that the boat insurance, or is that the home insurance that's covering?
Yeah, it's going to most likely, again, it could vary depending on the market and how you've got your policy set up. But most likely it's going to be your boat insurance that's going to pay out first. And then as an insurance company, we would subrogate against the home policy. So it's really important to make sure that you keep the insurance on full year. So don't just take off the insurance and only insure it for the boating season. You want to make sure it's insured all year round in case something like that happens, or if there's a heavy snow load and the roof collapses, or a theft. You want to make sure that you're good and covered all year round. For such a low premium, it makes sense to just keep the insurance on instead of having to set it up, cancel it, set it up, cancel it.
Yeah, I know that makes sense, and that's a good tip there too, guys. So make sure you just leave your insurance on for the whole year. It's worth it in case something ever happens. Another question we get is towing the boat. There's an accident on the highway. Truck and boat are written off. What is the process there?
That's a very unique one. It happens unfortunately all the time. I've seen it where I used to work at a dealership as well when I very, very first got into the marine world, and somebody left the dealership and just got on the highway. Literally, you could see them on the highway and they got smucked. Brand new Sea-Doo. So it's more important, again, making sure that you've got your insurance set up as soon as you're financially responsible for the watercraft is important. Don't wait until you get home. But if you're towing the boat, when you are in motion, the liability is going to automatically extend from your auto policy. So if you're in motion and something happens, it's going to be the auto policy. And then if you were parked, you're on your way to the hunt camp or to a fishing tournament and you pull over to Tim Hortons and you come out and somebody unhooks the trailer from your truck and has towed it off and has stolen it, in that case, it would be our policy that would pay out. So it kind of depends if you were in motion or not in the claim. But if you were in motion, it's going to be the auto policy, and then they'll come to us to subrogate.
Okay, well, that makes sense. And then I got one more for you, and that is, a lot of us anglers are trying to give back in the community, and I'll use mine for example. We have a Veterans Day where we take the veterans out fishing for the day, and I was wondering, like, do we still have insurance in place if we're basically doing an event for not for profit and we're taking veterans out fishing? Are we still covered? Because
Oh,
that's my question, but I want to ask the expert here.
yeah, it's a really good question. And again, I want to make sure people contact their brokers to ask. I can only speak to April Marine's policies, but yes, if you were doing something with veterans like that, absolutely you can. That's no problem at all. Contact the broker, and what we'll do is we're going to add an endorsement onto your policy just to make sure there's enough liability and everything there to cover everybody's butts. But they're going to just need the location, the date, how many people are going to be on board, and who's operating the boat. On that note, though, something with people that you're going to be working with that are over the the age of 18 is important. Any minors, we can't do any, if you're doing something with big brothers and big sisters with little kids, unfortunately, that's not something that we can do. But if you had nonprofit organizations like that veterans event, that's an amazing event. So absolutely, as long as the people that are going to be coming on board are over the age of 18.
Well, Brenda, I've tried to stump you here tonight, and I couldn't do that. You're a wealth of knowledge, and man, I really appreciate it. What I learned here tonight is pick up the phone and call your insurance company if you have any questions about anything that you're doing. Make sure you're covered, guys, because the last thing you want to find out is you make the call to the insurance company after something happens and they tell you, "Oh, we can't cover you for that," or "You should have called us first." So, guys, make sure you pick up the phone and call the insurance company before you do something maybe that's a little bit different than what you normally do. And I mean, that's all I got for you, Brenda. Again, I tried to stump you. Your knowledge is good. And I think there was a lot of good little tips in there. I hope a lot of guys will learn from this. And guys, go to the flash quote, go check out April Marine. I'm telling you, the pricing is phenomenal and the service is great. And you won't be disappointed. I don't know if the other guys on the panel here, Dean or Dennis, want to jump in. Maybe they got a couple questions. I'm sure they do. But again, thanks, Brenda. Great answers and great tips.
Oh, thanks, Shane.
Thanks for coming to the broadcast, Brenda. I only have one thing: is what are the anglers to expect when they do submit a claim?
Oh, that's a great question. I was actually hoping you were going to ask that question, which is odd to say. Not that I want any of your members to have a claim, obviously. We want that to not happen. But if they do, we're really proud of our claims service. For April Marine, what we'll do is the expectation that we set on our adjusters is that they have to open the claim within 3 business hours. To put that into perspective, the other markets that I've worked for or worked with, the expectation is that an adjuster will reach out within 24 to 48 hours to open your claim. And we're doing it in 3 hours max. So you can always expect a really quick response from the adjusters. And if you do have a claim, what will happen is the claim's going to get opened with the adjuster. They're going to assign an appraiser. The appraiser will come assess the damage because the part of that is to make sure that there's no gouging of pricing and stuff like that. So they want to make sure that we're not paying out unnecessarily on claims as well in order to keep our prices as low as possible. So the adjuster will come out, do up the report, send it over to the appraiser. The appraiser will sign off and cut you your check. So typically, depending on the time of year, this time of year is a little bit of a crazy time for the adjusters, but typically we have a very good turnaround time as well because we stress the importance of getting everybody back out on the water. We know it's a short season. We really get two prime months of boating when the weather cooperates. So we want to make sure we can get everybody back out on the water as quickly as possible. If it is going to interfere with maybe a fishing tournament that you might have or a vacation that you might have coming up, we can also look at giving you a rental boat as well so that there's no interruption to your vacation time. So there's always something that we can work with. Don't be afraid to ask questions to the adjusters when they do talk to you and give you updates. But typically the adjuster will call out, get the appraiser on the phone, get them assessing the damage, get that report back, review it, and then pay out the claim. So it's a very quick and easy process because they're all marine adjusters. They are only doing marine insurance, so they're not being pulled to home and auto claims and kind of getting baffled when it comes to a marine claim. They know that if the boat sinks in the middle of the lake, that's going to be a claim that we immediately need to disperse to 2 barges, one with a crane to get the boat from the bottom of the lake. They know all of that stuff, whereas sometimes a home and auto adjuster, no offense to them, but they just might not know those steps to take right off the get-go, and so there can be some of those delays. So our claims team is award-winning. So we've won multiple awards the past couple of years for our claims service, our customer service. In 25, we won for our philanthropic and community service work. So we're really proud of those things, but the claims, you're in very good hands.
Wow, that's amazing. Again, maybe give us an idea of what the NOWT, what special you have for them again. And again, I guess, Shane, our anglers can head over to the NOWT website and go from there, correct?
Yeah, they can go on there's a flash quote there, a link that they could go, brings them to the April Marine site. But yeah, Brendan, maybe if you want to just say, where else can they go? Like I know April Marine's got a website, they got a Facebook, or they're on social media. I don't know if you want to maybe comment on some of those where maybe people can go as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You can, visit our website. You can follow us on the socials. It's usually going to be under Club April Marine. That's our nonprofit side of the company, where we do a lot of our philanthropic work and our events and fishing tournaments and all that kind of stuff. So you can check us out there. But you could also connect with a broker at Elko. That's the our broker partner that we have worked with for this partnership. So you can email them at partner@elko.ca, and they will be able to respond to your questions or give you a quote, or you can click on the flash quote tool on your webpage, and that'll give them the quote, as well as making sure that we include that 10% discount. But if you choose to call in or email Elko directly, just make sure that your members mention that you're part of the NOWT, so that we can make sure that we apply that discount and give you those perks on coverages.
Well, that was our rapid fire edition, and Brenda, you stood the test in this rapid fire. So
I'm sweating.
So Dennis, why don't you bring us home and take it from here?
All right, guys. Thanks, Brenda Filiatro from April Marine, for joining us on our program today. Thanks for the great advice and all the stuff that we need to know about boaters insurance. We appreciate your knowledge, and thanks again for taking time.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
We're going to pause for a quick break on our program, friends. On the other side, we're going to talk some big fish, and we're headed to the beautiful community known as Longlac, Ontario. We're going to preview the Longlac Walleye Masters and talk to the guy who, well, you may want to call the chief cook and bottle washer, or maybe just the big organizer. His name is Alan Wallette, and he'll join us on the other side of this break. So don't go anywhere, friends. This is episode 7 of Catching Gold, the official podcast of the Northern Ontario Walleye Trail on the Northern Corridor Podcast Network.
This is the Northern Corridor Podcast Network, the home of the Sports Hub. Between the Bay and the Bench, with your MPP Guy Bourgoin. All jacked up, the official podcast of the Hearst Lumberjacks of the Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League. Be Northern Proud, be Northern Aware, a fraud prevention podcast series, and Catching Gold, the official podcast of the Northern Ontario Walleye Trail. Tune in at PooskaMediaServices.com, on social media with Facebook, X, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and wherever you get your podcasts at YouTube, Apple, Amazon, Google Play, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Listen to one of our episodes today.
And welcome back to Catching Gold, episode 7, the official podcast of the Northern Ontario Walleye Trail. Dennis J. Puska with Dean Bliss, and we are glad to be joined alongside by Alan Wallette, who is the lead organizer of the Longlac Walleye Masters, the next stop on the Northern Ontario Walleye Trail. It is coming fast, and I know they're excited to talk about their event and what's going to be happening down there. Al joins us from the beautiful community of Longlac. My friend, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
So talk a little bit about the excitement level as you guys approach your annual event, the Longlac Walleye Masters.
Well, the buzz is definitely building within the community. This weekend is actually what we call the Longlac Summerfest, and that has become kind of the preemptive event leading into ours. It's been a long-standing event here that brings people home and gets the locals out and involved. And now it's become one of those things where one rolls into the other. So with this event going on this weekend, it's definitely building the anticipation for next weekend's event. We've already got anglers coming in and pre-fishing, and so it's building up. And excitement is a matter of perspective. For the organizing committee, for us, it's excitement, nerves, double checking and triple checking everything to make sure everything's in place as we head into the event. But all in all, it's like it is every year, a bunch of excitement. Things are building up. The buzz around town about the nice boats coming to town and watching them take off in the morning is already becoming a topic of conversation all over town when I'm meeting up with people. So it's definitely building, and we're on track to have another great event here.
Alan, when you say about the community and everybody gets hyped up and everything, I mean it is a great event and it's actually held like pretty much in the middle of the community, right? So, I mean everybody's there, everything. So, what does it actually mean for the community?
Well, for us, we have what we call a blessing and a curse. Our event is held right, actually centralized to a residential area. The Longlac Lakeside Center has been a long-standing waterfront property for us here.
Mm-hmm.
All of us grew up, back in the day, we had swimming lessons right off the big dock there. At one time, there was a marina with slips. So it's one of those things that's a community staple. And the way it was built back in the day with the stage and the bleachers and everything, it was always, in my opinion, always just itching for an event like this. And when we decided to build the event, there was no other place that was at the top of our mind. But what that brings is the challenges. So, in previous years, we've had over 90 boats. We have one boat launch that accesses that part of the lake. There is another launch, but you'd have to go under a railroad bridge. And when the water's high or if the winds are high, you can't get back under it, right? So for us, we're launching all those boats. Some residents have their boats on docks and friends will help them and let them. But in the grand scheme of things, we are launching pretty much every boat from one launch in the morning, inspections, launching, and then we have to park them all. So being that we have two baseball fields in that part of the town, we call it the town site, and there was a logging company's office building at one point in the centralized portion. That's since been demolished, so it left a parking lot there. Municipality graciously lets us use it without any hindrance. Lily's Bed and Breakfast, they allow us to park in their parking lot. So we fill up the whole area, open areas of town site, and we tuck them all in nice and tight. But it does take a lot of logistics and a lot of people, manpower to be able to coordinate the whole system. Over the years, we've kind of fine-tuned it really well. We've got a sponsor, Bully Bus Lines, that provides us with a shuttle. Wild Country Sports provides us with what we call a valet. Oftentimes you'll get a team where one person's not comfortable or not able to launch the boat. So we have, or one person has to stay in the boat after it's been launched, and then the other person's not comfortable driving. Those types of scenarios. So Chris Veer from Wild Country Sports comes down every year, and he's our valet. So he'll jump in your truck, he'll bring it up to the baseball field or one of the other parking lots, and then he'll come back down the shuttle and hand you your keys. So it's been a long process in fine-tuning it. The first year went well, but we definitely found there was room for improvement, and it's worked out really well. We get good rapport from the anglers that it's well organized, and we've got it pretty seamless, and we found a way to tuck everybody in now so it doesn't really disrupt the residents and their driveways and stuff, because that's always the biggest concern. We're hosting it right in people's backyards, front yards. We want to make sure that it's not disruptive to them. And being that it's downtown like that, or in the portion of town, the blessing that we have is that it brings in spectators in large numbers when we're throughout the day, and then also especially during the top 10 or even the final weigh-ins on the Saturday. We were known to have a big crowd and lots of cheers and lots of oohs and ahs. When you got the big screen like we do with the NOWT, and we keep track of the weights throughout the weekend, you're able to, announce what they've previously had, what they need to take first place. So that anticipation when you're saying, they need 6.5 pounds to take first place, and then that bag comes out and goes onto the scale, and they're 0.2 below or 0.2 above, the crowd reaction is unparalleled. It's really fun to be part of.
It is, and I mean, I've attended a few of the events, and like you say, the volunteers that help out there is incredible. Like you say, the valet, and I mean, I've gotten a ride back from my truck in the golf cart from like a local, so like I mean, so how important are these volunteers, and how many do you guys have to pull off this event?
We've always struggled to put a number on it, because some people will come for part of the day and some people will come for the whole day. Some people will come for part of one day. We have a group of people that help us with the barbecue dinner that'll make the salads and stuff. So if I had to hinder a guess, I'd say in the number of roughly 40 people that chip in, sometimes more, sometimes less. Last year, we had some, last couple of years, I think we've had issues with reefer. When you got really hot weather, the reefer struggles to keep up. Local mechanics are chipping in. The local plumbing companies coming down and checking the freon on it. Like, this has truly become a full community event. When you got small communities like this in the north, having events like this that not only draw tourists to the area, but also draw former residents to come back. And you've got, senior, we call them senior junior teams, where it's a parent and one of their children. And sometimes the child's coming back from Alberta or, British Columbia to fish with their dad for the event or things like that. It really is all encompassing for the community. The excitement grows, people chip in right from, we're making sure the grounds are set up in the days leading up, and people will come out of their house and help us rake and shovel some dirt from a corner. They'll help us carry picnic tables, and it's just ongoing. Last year, we had a couple older gentlemen that are retired that came out and helped us with setup and tear down, and they just added so much to the event, and it's all ever evolving. We also have the students from the high schools that are coming in and putting in hours, which is a huge help for us. It's really encouraging for us. Doing these events, you put in so many hours, it's tireless. You're working at it all year round. We've, started to find our place to fine tune the event so that it's not as full year round. We've kind of got our times where certain things need to be in place. But just knowing that we can rely on the people and they show up year after year really encourages us. Our partnerships with our sponsors is outstanding. We looked at the numbers last night, and the whole crowd of us, we're 8 on the committee, and I had to stop the meeting at one point and say, if ever we wonder why we do it, this is all the encouragement we need. You see it from these local organizations from outside of Greenstone that want to support it, that they do service the area in different industries and things like that, and they jump in full force and help us out. And money isn't something that everybody's willing to give away and stuff, and it has to be a cause that they truly believe in. So to know that they believe in us to that level just makes it all worthwhile. It really does. It's awe-striking. For a lack of better terms, I'm a man of many words, as you could probably already tell. But times where I really have to just sit and ponder, and usually it brings some tears when I think about it, to be honest.
I mean, I know, and you have lots of outside sponsors, right? And I mean, we can get back to that later, and you can, if you want to mention a few, that's fine, or the list. I mean, I'm sure it's very long. Aside from that, I mean, the fishing aspect of the entire tournament, how does that go along with all what's going on back at headquarters, and how you guys figure this out during the day, and do you have enough volunteers? And because I know there's a lot of good fish. I mean, there's a lot of big fish in Longlac, right? So I mean, when you're bringing those in and the handling of that, that whole weigh-ins thing is how does that go through in the day?
Well, for us, again, blessings and curses, right? Being where we are, we're right in town, and it's a great venue for the event, but it's also at the north end of the lake. And the way that the break wall is, the waters in there tend to be a bit warmer. So fish handling is something that's pivotal with these events and the success of these events. So we've had to develop a system and how we're going to keep the water cool. We have pumps that we're pulling in from the far side of the break wall dock, if you will. Mm-hmm. But this year we're actually trying something new to even get some colder water from behind the house that's there. So lots of piping. We've had to build up our inventory of mechanical stuff, and Barino's Construction here, the Home Hardware Building Center here. They got a rental center, and they just, whatever you guys need, come and get it. And we've had to develop this over the years. We've had to add pumps. The fire department here gave us an old basin. It's a temporary basin, and we found over the years now we've elevated. So we've had to evolve with it. We've always done well with fish management, but we've always wanted to improve it. That's one of the main keys for us.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of our people on our committee itself and outside people within the community have a lot of mechanical backgrounds. So we tend to bounce ideas and try to come up with the ways that we're going to do it best. We're making some tweaks this year. In previous years, when the fish come out, they come out of that pipe and then they get a little turned around. So we've had to have people actually like with their feet guiding them back into the deeper waters because you don't want shallower waters. Last year we had an idea where we put some snow fencing with like a V type shape, and it was working well, but snow fencing has bigger holes, so we want to fine tune that. This year we're going to be putting a screen. So it's evolutionary how we do it. On the volunteer side, you know, it's such a big grounds that we have to keep some people right close to the stage throughout, and then other people chip in too. If it's time to, you know, grab a boat and hold it during the middle of the day and the boat holders aren't quite there yet, then we'll have, you know, I'll jump in on it, or people that are doing the fish release. There's always a way. We have the younger generation always running the bags back and forth. So everybody kind of hangs out for the day. We get, you know, spectators that'll come in and sit for a while and just see if there's any boats. But then we also get a lot of spectators on the lives. I'm sorry, my dog is just wreaking havoc here. Playtime for him, apparently. So if there's some rustling, I apologize. But yeah, again, with that, it's all encompassing. Anybody that's there jumps in and helps out. And being that it's a local event that only happens once a year, we have a lot of people hanging around during the day. And we've actually seen it where residents were like, oh, there's nobody to hold a boat. They get off the bleachers and go hold a boat. So yeah, it just comes together. I can't say what the magic potion is, but it's definitely builds up the community spirit, you know, and everybody along the lake that have residences along the lake. As I see them throughout the year, they tell me how they sit with their coffee in the morning and watch the boats take off. And it's just such an exciting time for them.
Well, like you say, Alan, I think it comes down to like that small community, right? Like, I mean, everybody's there and like everybody knows each other. And I think that's how these like this event, especially the longlac, you know, when we're there, I mean, that's how I think the whole thing just ends up working out so perfect, right? Regardless of whatever you guys are throwing during the day, whatever, you know, problems, or, I mean, it seems that you can draw on somebody to actually, you know, help out at some point in time because the whole community's there and they're very active in it, you know. So if a person would want to try a tournament for the first time, why would you say longlac would be the best?
Well, that's even a hard sell because, you know, I've only had the pleasure of attending one other tournament, and that's Geraldton because it's my backyard. With my work schedule, it's hard for me to get to the further ones. But getting to know the organizing committees from all the other events across the NOWT, I don't think I could oversell one over the other. I think my personal passion, I think, would come through in that conversation. I can definitely point out all the positives of longlac. Longlac is such a good fishery, and there's always an opportunity for somebody to catch that big one. You know, and we know now, especially with the adjusted bags that we have for this year with the 1 over 3 unders, it's really mixing up that field. It's really changing the competitiveness. And I think in a sense, it brings back the luck factor because on any given day, somebody can catch a big lunker, you know, and one big lunker in this type of format now can really put you at the top. You know, we saw it in Geraldton this year. That was the one that I was able to go attend the weigh-ins. On day one team stood out because they caught one big fish. The team that ended up winning, from what I understand, I can't remember exactly what their placement was on day 2 beginning, but it wasn't that high up in the rankings. It wasn't that low either, but one big fish got them there. And longlac definitely has that ability. I mean, longlac's been long known as a community or a lake that you can go out and catch your limit 15, 20 minutes after work. You know, I can finish work, pin up my boat, get on the lake or on the river here. 15, 20 minutes, I've got my limit. I can come home. Right? It's known for that. Whether you're just under the bridge or if you're up the river a little bit and later in the season like we are now, you don't have to go that far to catch a nice bag of fish. So that is a good selling point. But the community spirit, that crowd I spoke about. When I fished Geraldton, it's the only event I ever fished was Geraldton the year that we were having our first event. And that was more so I could see it from an angler's perspective. When you get up on that stage to do your weigh-in and you look out and there's people watching and stuff, if you've never done it before, it really, really is something. And I don't know what it is with longlac, and I can't compare it to others because I haven't been there, but on the grounds in the evenings and stuff, there's such a camaraderie, and a lot of the NOWT anglers just have that in them. There's competition on the water, but in the evening, they're telling stories, they're telling jokes, they're ribbing each other, and they get involved with conversations with the locals and stuff. It really brings it together. Having our steak dinner that we do on the Saturday night, that brings out locals. We give out tickets. All of our top tier sponsors actually get steak dinners for two. That's one of the things that we decided early on we were going to do. So that actually brings the sponsors in, and they get an opportunity to interact with locals and with the anglers as well. And they like that because they get the angler's perspective as well. And it's, I think it's a great tournament. Again, I'm not trying to check us off on a list higher or lower than another, but I think we've put it together well. And I do got to say, the reason I think we were able to hit the ground running so well is we had great mentorship. When we started this out, we approached Corey and Donna from Geraldton, and right away they were like, yes, you should. Yes, we'll help you however we can. Kappa's Casing was amazing to us in the first year, and they rented us their docks, and we had scales lent to us, and then we had Christelle and Chantal who've done multiple events over the years. That mentorship and our passion for community events and putting it together really, really brought it together for us, and I think we've created something pretty significant in the fishing world and fishing competition world in North America.
Absolutely, Alan, you have, and you've mentioned it a few times. It's your passion. It's your passion to have this event and to host it and to get it organized, and your volunteers and just a small community that's backing all of you. I think that's one pretty good recipe for if anybody wanted to try a tournament, try out the Longlac Walleye Masters, because you know what, you're going to get a good feel of what it is, that small community, the fishing community, how we are all very close, one big family, so definitely I would recommend it for sure. And you guys have a great event. Is there any sponsors that you would like to mention? I mean, I know you have lots, and you have lots from out of town, right? It's not just Longlac.
We have a long list. But what I'll do tonight is I'll definitely check off our corporate sponsors. And it's not to discredit the other sponsors that we have. Those other sponsors are going to get ample recognition throughout the weekend and leading up to the weekend. But tonight, this is a special event for us. And I think that it honors that level of respect. Our three top sponsors that we always acknowledge. And if you've ever seen our championship belts, I don't know if everybody watching is aware, but we give out wrestling or MMA style championship belts that first place gets to keep. It goes with them. We ordered them in special from California, actually. But on the front of that, you can see which are our top sponsors. And those right there are actually the Municipality of Greenstone, Thunder Bay Truck Center, and Brino Construction Home Hardware Building Center here. Again, not to discredit any of our other sponsors, but these three really, really support in the most awe-striking way, the upper echelon of it. And again, there's so many others. It is a long list. And to be honest, I don't want to discredit any of them, but I would need the list in front of me to get through all of them.
I get it, because you don't want to forget anybody, right?
No, I definitely don't. Yeah. And I'd say 95% of them are all returning. And most of these have been right from the start, been along the ride and the journey with us. And that's where I'm always torn when we say sponsor, because in our eyes, they're partners. It's a part putting on, because without their support, it's not possible. And
no, you're right.
Without building that working relationship, it's hard to sustain that. So, we go to all of them. I try to visit every one of them personally if I can, or one of our committee members does. We get their input, things like that. We want to keep that going. We want to foster that working relationship to keep it active. No,
for sure. And the volunteers, of course, are the most important, right, to make any event, like, successful. And I'm just going to say, as an angler, to all the other anglers, when you see a volunteer, whether they're at the dock, whether they're signing you up, whether they're at the cook shack, it doesn't matter, where you meet these volunteers, and you're going to meet a lot of them. It's just a simple thanks, and just to appreciate them, and because I don't know if they know, but we really do appreciate them.
We've gotten really, really good feedback from anglers over the years, and that's one thing I will say about the NOWT anglers. They are very gracious in their appreciation. They're always vocal of it, and we absolutely love it. And there's always jokes being cracked and things, and so it makes that interaction fun for the volunteers as well. And it's every volunteer. The youths that are holding boats, they get to interact and see in the big boats, and the anglers are always quick to toss them a thank you and a little noogie or something, and right to the ladies that are handing you your steak that you're going to be cooking. And it really is, it's a reciprocal relationship that's been fostered and continues to grow, and the appreciation is again reciprocal from both sides.
No, and yeah, very much appreciated for sure. And I'm just looking forward. I'm looking forward to seeing you again on July 25th or 6th. We're going to be there for the weekend, so it's going to be a great event as always.
Oh yeah, and then so far, the forecast is good and doesn't look like crazy winds. Last year we got one hell of a big storm that really wreaked havoc on our Saturday night events. So far it's looking good. So, if the good graces of people up there can help us out, we'll definitely take every bit of that. And again, as long as everything, the chaos that's going on all over the north can hold off for, another 11 days, we can get through it, and everybody can have a little bit of fun through the gloomy times, if you want to call it that. A little bit of sunshine in otherwise gloomy days. Yeah. So.
No, it's great. We're looking forward to it. I can't wait to see you there.
We look forward to it again. We welcome you all on the grounds of the Longlac Lakeside Center. Come on down. If you can't come down, tune in. We will be live. We're excited to have you all, and come along for the ride. It's going to be a wild one.
Guys,
thank you for those last thoughts.
If I can, one more thing. I do want to point out that double-digit bounty is still growing. I don't know if everybody knows what that is, but
that's right.
On Long Lake, we know there's over 10 pounders in that water. I've seen them come out with my own eyes. We have yet to weigh in a fish bigger than 10 pounds. Our sponsor, Westland Insurance, has sponsored a bounty, $500 every year. This year it's at $1,500. The first fish that comes in that's 10 pounds plus will walk away with $1,500.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is that's pretty amazing. And I was talking to someone this morning about the Longlac Walleye Masters. He says it rivals Dubreuilville when the big fish come out. Is that, what do you want to call it? The mini Big Fish Factory, Dean and Alan? Is that kind of like that a little bit, or is it totally different?
It's very comparable to Dubreuil. I mean, when the fish are on, both systems are very, very, very gracious to be given out a lot of overs. And Longlac, it has been in the past, where a lot of overs are being caught over the weekend.
Absolutely. And a lot of Cinderella stories that I call them. We had a youth angler one year go out, come back 45 minutes later. I think it was like 878. Youth angler, one biggest fish of the day. You couldn't even paint that smile on somebody. You could never imagine it, right? We've had a young gentleman. He's actually fishing this year with his father. He's now a father himself, but at the time, I think he was 16. Pulled up with his 16-foot tinner behind his quad, launched it, went out with his buddy, one biggest fish of the day. So it's anybody's game, and those monsters are out there. It's just, do you have what it takes to catch it?
Awesome, Alan. Thanks for coming on the podcast tonight.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. It's a true pleasure. Our committee is truly honored to be invited to be part of it, and we look forward to seeing what comes up in the next 9 days.
Well, there you go. Al, before you go, give us a quick rundown of the schedule for the Longlac Walleye Masters for the weekend.
Oh my God, you're putting me on the spot. Okay, I believe Beer
There's a
Garden
rules
open
meeting.
on Friday night for the rules meeting at approximately 4 or 5. My bar girls are going to give me a side eye. Fish takeoff, I believe Saturday is 7 or 7 to 4, I think. Oh, it might be 8. Now you put me on the spot, and I'm spiraling. But I believe it's 7 to 4 on Saturday, 7 till 3 on Sunday. Don't quote me on the start times, but the end times are definitely accurate. Top 10 on Sunday for sure. Be there for that. We are going to have children's events for anybody bringing their families down. We're going to have children's events throughout the day on Saturday. Local organizations have gotten together and put this on with our committee. Beer gardens all Friday evening, starting midday Saturday through the evening, and midday again Sunday through the evening. Beer gardens, steak dinner Saturday night. Every angler gets a steak dinner with all the fixins. And this year we won't be able to do charcoal barbecue. I should state that with the fire ban, we have to stick it to it's going to be propane barbecues. So we're going to be collecting barbecues from the community and going that route. But yeah, steak dinner on the Saturday night. Swag sales will be open throughout the weekend. I'm probably missing something, guys.
That is all right, but we just wanted to get a short rundown to kind of let everybody know what to expect that weekend and how much fun it's going to be. And again, the YouTube channel will have what's going to be happening, and we can't wait to see the results and see how things are going and see if someone gets that bounty of $1,500 for getting more than a 10-pound fish. Wow.
It's something. It's really something.
And last thing, Alan, is like our families from out of town, when we're there, where can they see any of the weigh-ins and stuff like that? Is it going to be live? Is it going to be on social media, on your website?
Yeah, we're going to have everything on our YouTube channel from what I understand. And I'm not sure. I think NOWT might be hosting it as well. But I know for sure it's going to be on our YouTube channel. And yeah, we'll have live broadcasts, we'll have live weigh-in boards, all that kind of thing. It's become the new technology for everybody, and we're on board with that. So yeah, they can tune in Longlac Walleye Masters on YouTube, and we'll have everything there. I don't think it's going to be a stream throughout the whole day, but when something significant happens, and then at the end, that'll definitely be live streamed. You'll see me again running my mouth with a microphone in my hand. If I can hold my voice throughout the weekend, we'll see. But yeah, live on YouTube or live at the grounds. Come on down. Lots of seating space at the bleachers. Tables under the tent if you want to get away from the sun for a little bit. It's really exciting to see, and there's lots to take in.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, and great seeing you again.
I thank you both so very much. You guys take care and have a good, safe summer.
That is Alan Wallette from the Longlac Walleye Masters joining us here on episode 7 of Catching Gold. We're going to pause for a quick break. When we come back, some final closing comments, and we'll send you on your way. This is Catching Gold, the official podcast of the NOWT on the Northern Corridor Podcast Network.
This is the Northern Corridor Podcast Network, the home of the Sports Hub. Between the Bay and the Bench with your MPP Guy Bourgoin. All jacked up, the official podcast of the Hearst Lumberjacks of the Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League. Be Northern Proud, Be Northern Aware, a fraud prevention podcast series, and Catching Gold, the official podcast of the Northern Ontario Walleye Trail. Tune in at PuskaMediaServices.com, on social media, with Facebook, X, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and wherever you get your podcasts at YouTube, Apple, Amazon, Google Play, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Listen to one of our episodes today.
And welcome back to episode 7 of Catching Gold. Again, a very special thank you to Brenda Filietro from April Marine. as well as Alan Walleye, the lead organizer of the Longlac Walleye Masters. Again, a very special hello to all the organizers and the community of Longlac as you get ready to host that big event coming up, and that is going to be a lot of fun, that is for sure. And by the way, our next episode of Catching Gold will be a recap of the Longlac Walleye Masters. You'll meet the winners of that event, and we'll have some other insider information to bring you, so we do hope you'll join us. That is coming up on episode 8 of our show. But we had a great time, and again, thank you to Dean Bliss and Shane Turcotte for joining us on our program, as they always do, with some wonderful questions and some great background on our show. And it really kind of brings everything into perspective. And one of the things we're trying to do with our podcast is bring you all that insider information of the NOWT. You get a chance to meet the anglers, learn more about the events and how you should attend. And one of the reasons why is to support these communities, whether it's in Longlac, whether it's in Geraldton, or perhaps down at the Cache Campground in Timmins, the Timmins Walleye Expedition, or the Dubreuilville event. All of these events are terrific. They do such a great job organizing. And as we mentioned, we've got 2 stops left to go. The Longlac Walleye Masters this coming weekend, and then we'll conclude with the Matagami First Nation. They are back, and they are very excited to host the event in September, just off of Highway 144. Again, we thank you for tuning into our program wherever you do so. And don't forget, you can catch other great work, other great podcasts on the Northern Corridor Podcast Network, including the Sports Hub, All Jacked Up, the official podcast of the Hearst Lumberjacks, Between the Bay and the Bench with your MPP Guy Bourgoin, and also we've got Be Northern Proud, Be Northern Aware, a fraud prevention podcast series. All of that is up on our website at PuskaMediaServices.com, and wherever you get your podcasts, we are out there and we are available. Well, that's going to do it for episode 7 of our program. For Brenda Filiatro from April Marine, Alan Walleye from the Longlac Walleye Masters, and for Shane Turcotte and Dean Bliss from the NOWT, I'm Dennis J. Puska. Be good, stay out of trouble. I'll try to do the same. We'll talk to you next time with another all-new episode of Catching Gold, the official podcast of the Northern Ontario Walleye Trail, brought to you by Puska Media Services. Good night, Dick. Talk to you next time. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to Catching Gold, the official podcast of the Northern Ontario Walleye Trail. Watch all of the episodes on YouTube and at PuskaMediaServices.com. Catching Gold on the Northern Corridor Podcast Network was written and produced by Dennis J. Puska, with assistance from Shane Turcotte, Dean Bliss, and the NOWT. All rights reserved. This has been a 2026 Puska Media Services NOWT Studio 29 DP production.